More news, in fact, coming in now this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken to his social media account on X, stating that India and Kuwait share multifaceted ties rooted in history, culture and mutual respect. He's also added that India and Kuwait share multifaceted ties rooted in history, culture and mutual respect. And of course, this is a very special and significant visit of Narendra Modi to Kuwait. Let me quickly bring in Monica Verma, international affairs expert, for more on this story. Strong relations, of course, extend from energy to other aspects. Strong diaspora connect is also there. These are all, things mentioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in this first statement after this meeting today. Monica, what do you read into what he said?
Well, Uday, I see it as a part of, this larger trend that we have witnessed in the last 10 years, in fact, more than 10 years now, that Prime Minister Modi has been in power. In fact, when he was going to win the elections in 2014, one of the very, highest concerns that people had, especially the IR community or the strategic affairs community, was that how relations with Gulf would now be, because he had this image of someone who is close to Hindu cause, and how he's going to now navigate these ties with the Gulf nations. But today in 2024, when it's almost going to end, what we see is that in the history of India, I do not see any other prime minister who has played a role as important and as intense as Prime Minister Modi has played in making sure, that every single country, every single major actor in West Asia is, engaged with. He has paid personal visits to all these countries. In fact, the Kuwait visit is happening after 43 years. The last time an Indian Prime Minister went to Kuwait was Indira Gandhi. So, these things are happening, and it's not only Kuwait. If you look at Saudi Arabia, UAE, any country in this region, I think Prime Minister Modi has played a very, very important role. And like you said, it's an entire gamut of relations. It's not just energy, but also diaspora. I would just like to, remind on your show that how a tragic accident had taken place in June this year, where, many Indians had lost their lives. And then I see the visuals of our Prime Minister going to Kuwait, and he's visiting a work camp, and he's addressing the concerns of Indian, workers. So the total working population of Kuwait, 30% of it is comprised of Indians. I think when your own Prime Minister goes to that country and he says that, lives of Indians are important, I think that sends a loud message, not just to this country, but countries across the world, that Indian lives are not cheap, they are very precious. And if you're inviting them over to work in your country, you also, you need to make sure that they are safe and sound. So I think besides diaspora, also energy ties, I think Kuwait is a very important energy partner for India, 3% of India's total energy. It's important from Kuwait. So the previous panelist has already talked about how rupee is, falling, the free fall of rupee, and then how, all the oil dynamics, they work out. But I definitely see a rising India that needs a large source of supply of energy. We today have a two-track relation when it comes to Gulf. We are not only the energy importer, but we also are becoming an exporter. The Make in India program is doing fantastic, and we also have this IMEC trading route coming up right from India all the way to Europe. So these countries which make up a part of Gulf are going to be markets of the future. And they themselves, when they're not looking at Islam as their only source of their identity, they are also modernizing in great ways. So I think in that sense, when there is so much harmony, there's so much affinity between India and these countries today, I think it's a win-win situation for India for our Prime Minister to be paying these visits, for our Prime Minister to be signing all these MOUs. I think it's a great thing.
Yes, let me in fact quickly take that back across to Major Sivach as well. Major Sivach, because the fact is that, there is a lot on the agenda of the Prime Minister for this visit. Of course, we saw that big diaspora outreach. But as far as these bilaterals are concerned, and these three key bilaterals are concerned, what is going to be the push from India's end, on the table?
As far as we are concerned, India will try to project that we provide the huge market, and there is a lot of scope of investment as far as the Kuwait is concerned, and especially all the Gulf countries and Middle East, because today India is one of the biggest consumer, and there is a chance that Kuwait can also invest in that. We are the largest ecosystem in think tank and third largest ecosystem in the startup, and we are also the second largest in producing the mobiles. So therefore, the point today is come here that it is not only the energy sector which we are connected. India can now provide a huge market, and this is a good scope for their investment. At the same time, there are certain places where India can invest in Kuwait and where we can increase our export. Very rightly brought out by my earlier panelist, out of $10.47 billion, that, we are only exporting about $2.2 billion, and majority of that, almost $8 billion, is the what Kuwait is exporting to us, we are importing. We need to export more, and therefore the point which comes is pharmaceutical. That is where there is a scope. We can send medicines. Also, there is a scope that we can also the IT equipment, the soft power, which is now the plus point as far as India is concerned. So we have to explore many other fields where we can cooperate, coordinate, and export to Middle East as well as in Kuwait. And I suppose that will be our big challenge, and we are going to succeed in that. The another thing is defense. Very rightly brought out the point is that why the Indians are preferred compared to others, including the Muslim countries, which are in our neighbors, not Pakistani, not the Bangladeshi, is the maximum diaspora is of Indians. Because, they are not only technically qualified, they are the one which are peace-loving, they do their job, and that's why they are loved and liked in all these countries. Like what we were trying to convey is as far as defense is concerned, possibly there is a lot of scope. One is that the joint training of the Navy, which can do, also of the Air Force. Also, we can have a training of the Kuwaiti officers coming in India, especially IMA, National Defense Academy, and Officer Training Institute. So, therefore, the point comes is that is another where there is a chance of doing some coordination and cooperation. Overall, one I'll say that in another about 10 years, the trade which is there of almost about $10.47 billion, there is a scope to increase or double it. And that's what is the anticipation. The both sides are feeling it, that there is a huge scope and we must now exploit that. And as far as India market is concerned, it is not only the GCC, but it is also other countries. Saudi Arabia, UAE, they are trying to invest in hospitality industry in India, including in J&K. So Kuwait also will get some sort of idea how can they invest in India, because we provide a huge market. Also, one should understand that with this India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor coming out of this GCC, Saudi, UAE, and Oman, you will find this corridor going and then going to Israel, and then finally it is going to Europe.
Ji, sir.
This will be a game changer. And you will find it, the trade will increase between India and Middle East and to the Europe by 12%. And you will find the trade coming cheaper by 27%. And once it comes reality, and I'm sure in another about 10 years, you'll find it India, Middle East, Europe corridor coming in a big way. And this is what we are looking for. So as on today, Kuwait has become a gateway to Middle East. And we are looking for it. India wants peace there. And that's why India has the best of the relation with all the Muslim countries, as well as with Israel, and as well as with Iran, and also basically Turkey. So the point is, any country which can play a positive role even in ensuring that this war which is taking place between Israel and against Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi and Iran, some sort of peace can prevail. I think we can be a good contributor.
My
If
thanks
not
to our
that,
guests
we
for
can
joining us on this big story. Let's quickly turn our focus to other news coming in. Protests have been held outside the Sterlite copper plant in Tuticorin, demanding immediate action from the government to reopen it. The